Okay, hi everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with our Library Giving Day 2020 kickoff. We're so very excited to have you today. I'm Christina McPhillips, VP of Business Development with Carl Bloom Associates, and I've got the wonderful Jonna Ward, CEO of the Seattle Public Library Foundation with me. A couple of really quick housekeeping things. All of the attendees on this call are muted. But if you do have any questions, we ask that you please chat them in the chat box at any point during the presentation, and we'll try our best to answer them. We likely won't be able to, so please note that all of the questions that we didn't answer and common questions will appear on the librarygivingday.org website under the Frequently Asked Questions portion of that site. Do know that we are recording this, and that recording will be posted by Friday, January 24th. And on that note, we have a second webinar next week on Wednesday. We will be going through the same information, possibly making some adjustments if there were some very common questions that need to be addressed there. But I really think that that's about it. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Jonna.
Oh, hello everyone. And I'm realizing probably if I have meeting appointments or something coming in the background, I may have to figure out how to mute this stuff. So sorry about that. First off, just thrilled to have so much interest in the webinar this time, and I'll be curious as we get further into this for us to understand if you're into it for the first time or if you're coming back for a refresher or more and whatever. So do take advantage of the chat option down below, and let's just go into the agenda real quick here. So our goal today is to really give you an overview of the tools, what Library Giving Day is, the opportunity it presents for you and your organization. We're going to share some examples of success. We're going to walk you through the toolkit and really hopefully have you leave this call feeling ready to roll and ready to try this. Before going into the nitty-gritty of how to, I want to share a little bit more about the background of what this is all about. And this is a picture of a group of us who met it was summer of 2017 in Seattle. And it was a time where I think for a whole host of reasons, I was looking for, insight, energy, and network, understanding what all of you are out there are doing. And Christina was in town visiting, and, she said, well, why don't we just see who wants to come together and meet and share what's working, share what isn't, and find common cause. And so between her contacts and my contacts, we put out a call, and 65 people showed up that summer to really start to be what now I look back and go, this is the beginning of a network. These are peer-to-peer sharings and opportunities to learn. And so that really was the beginning of this idea around how do we share resources. And so the idea or this concept really grew out of having this network of all of you together. And the idea of could we create or help expand everybody's capacity by building a fundraising campaign kind of off of the model of a giving day that really would engage our communities to support our libraries. And beneath all of this is really this idea of public libraries deserve so much when it comes to private support. And yet a lot of libraries, the culture of philanthropy is just not part of its original DNA. And we're trying to change that. And Seattle is probably a great example of just how private funding moves the entire public investment. And how do we share what we've learned and learn from one another? And thanks to Carl Bloom and Associates here, we've got just such a willing partner who's been in it from the get-go with us. So thanks to Carl Bloom and Associates with Christina and Rob and the rest of everyone else. Now, originally, the idea had been to say, here in Seattle, and sometimes this stuff comes out of just sheer necessity, we did have a Give Big concept that had run for 8 years. Our community foundation had sponsored it. It was built around a giving day. Over 8 years, we were able to generate almost $2 million. And by the time it was done, it was about a $300,000 campaign. And suddenly in my world, to have a spring campaign that was generating that much, and then the likelihood of it going away, it really caused us to say, how are we going to replace that revenue? And it was actually at the conference originally, I think I'll give credit to Jennifer Jones, who was new to library philanthropy, and she had experience with public library or school library funding in Canada. And I think what she had shared some ideas that they had done in Canada. And for me, I think that was really the beginning of a kernel of this idea that could we take all of this, what we've learned to do to run a digital campaign through Give Big, and start to translate that into something that was more around just focusing on libraries and public libraries and not competing with every other nonprofit in our community all on the same day at the same time. And so we started a conversation. I got support. Oh, you can keep going, Christina. You can get to the next one there. Was able to get Chief Librarian of Seattle Public Library on board and supportive of it. And he helped introduce the idea with the library directors in the state of Washington, and they were supportive. So then we were able to get a coalition of us from the greater Seattle area, and King County was a big part of that, as well as Pierce County. And we talked with ALA, PLA, and United for Libraries, as well as the outside of the lines folks out of Anythink Library. And what we were able to do is to get really the blessing to say, yes, it was okay to do a giving day for libraries during Library Awareness Week. And that really was I guess the point where it's like, okay, we're in, we're going to try this and see what happens. And off we went. So we tried, you could go to the next slide, Christine, if you would. We really are thinking about, or went into the Library Giving Day, and this is, I think, the PLA's influence to a great degree, is that could we create something that anybody, any library of any size could be part of? Whether you're a rural library or a big city library, whether you're a friends organization, a foundation, a big library system, or maybe a standalone library, being able to share tools that would allow anybody to participate, or any system or any library to participate. And we've really tended to focus on the US, and the Canadians have been all in, so that's been fabulous. And as philanthropy in libraries, or just philanthropy around the world, evolves and grows, I think there's a way that anybody could leverage this. So Library Giving Day is designed to be for all of us, and the more we all participate, I think it will increase awareness overall, and it will just raise all boats in the process. So Christina, do you want to take it from here and really talk about some of the experiences and what we learned from last year's participants?
Sure, I'd love to. So I want to say that we know of just these participants that they jumped all in last year. They said, we're going to try this. They were very interested. So here are just a few, and we know that they participated because they followed up afterwards when we asked for results, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But we want to say thank you to them for believing in this and being interested. Libraries all over the country and all over North America participated, and we hope that this continues to be something that you build upon year after year. So let's talk about how you can build a campaign yourself. Oh, sorry. And before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about the 2019 campaign, and then I'll tell you how you can build a campaign yourself. So the first ever Library Giving Day, it was April 10th, 2019. 192 libraries participated, and we've got a little map. They raised $737,000, and we know because they told us afterwards. We asked for results, but we said, how much did you intend to raise? And the collective goal, when we added it all up from the different participating libraries, they had hoped to raise just under $600,000. So to see them raise much more, about $150,000 than they intended to, that was really great. And remember, that's individual little libraries telling us what their goals were and then what they actually raised. So just to see the very first year out, libraries exceeding their own goals, it was really so meaningful to us. And of course, these were small, medium, and large libraries. Some were from rural parts of the country. Some were big cities. And they weren't just, foundations. They were friends and systems and all kinds of different libraries. So it was just such a wonderful thing to be a part of. It was truly successful. We didn't know what it was going to be like, but it really was a truly successful thing. So thanks to everybody that participated, and you can do it to those that are going to participate for the first time this year. All right, let's talk about how your library can build a successful Library Giving Day campaign. I know that's why you're here. You want to know how you can make this work for you. And do know that whatever level of a Library Giving Day campaign you're able to run is fine, big, small, whatever you can do. So the number one thing that you want to do is spend time on librarygivingday.org. You'll see on the top bar, there's library participation and how people can support their libraries, but the resource that you really want for yourself is the campaign tools dropdown. And so under campaign tools, you want to be able to download the toolkit. It is a longer document, but I really recommend that you get with your teammates and you sit down and review it. And remember that you might be your whole entire team. It might just be you, or you might be part of a larger group, whatever your capacity is, however many staff members you have, there is a Library Giving Day campaign that you can build. So whether you're your own team or there is an actual team, just use the toolkit to make a plan. So you want to identify the team members that will help plan and execute Library Giving Day, and you want to look into what roles they will play. And then you really want to create a timeline, and you want to meet regularly, or even if it's yourself, you want to focus on this topic regularly. And there is a reason that this is so important. When we actually went and did some analysis after last year, we asked post-Library Giving Day campaign, how many weeks did you have from when you started planning to actual Library Giving Day, and then what was your total campaign revenue? And when we looked at it, those libraries that planned farther out, 8 to 10 weeks out, did see more revenue. So we're very much recommending that you start today. Today's a great day to download the toolkit. You've got a couple of months, read through it. It's very robust and has such wonderful information in it. And we hope that it is all encompassing. I also want to say again, just make sure to look through the website. It's got examples from last year, different case studies, different libraries that may have participated last year. Your neighbor may have participated, or your friend across the country, and you can reach out to them and you can ask them for help. Something else that you can find on the website is information about how you can build your case for support. So we want you to showcase and share what libraries do. This is great information for you to incorporate in series of emails or to put on your website. So again, use the Library Giving Day site as a resource. Jonna, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I liked your suggestion around, you can go to the map and see who else has signed up in your community that maybe is participating, and connect with them and see if they did and what they actually learned and what might have worked. The tool is helpful from that perspective. And I think that if you have case information or information that you normally are using to raise support for your library, use that, build on it, leverage what you're already doing, and think of this as just a way to amplify your current campaign work, but really organizing around the messaging that you want to convey for your system, because everybody's going to be raising money for different things. And if you have a special project that you want to focus on and you have some of the supporting information as to why it's so important, that kind of information works wonderfully. If you're looking for a more generic campaign, what Christina is sharing here is certainly some great facts that help give proof to the impact of libraries.
Great, yes. Thank you, Jonna. Okay, let me show you a couple of creative elements that you can expect to get from the Library Giving Day website. We've made available some emails for you. So download those, read over them, and I just want to briefly touch on, you have the option with Library Giving Day to get a match gift, or some people call that a challenge gift, but you could go to a board member or a local company or something like that and ask them, would you give us $1,000, $5,000, $10,000? And you can incorporate that language into your various marketing and fundraising materials. And so what that would look like is you would say, from now until April 23rd, 2020, your gift will be doubled dollar for dollar up to X amount. And we can tell you that we received so much wonderful feedback from the libraries that did participate that were able to get matching gifts in 2019. So if that's something you're able to do, I recommend it. Also, any matching amount is fine. $1,000 is really wonderful. If you know of a major donor that was going to give that gift anyway, and you can reach out to them and ask them if you can use it for this purpose, I think you'll see some really wonderful results.
I just
matching gifts, Anita.
Yeah, I just want to jump on that and just say as much. If there's any single thing you do beyond being part of Library Giving Day, a matching gift, they are so incredibly powerful. And it's not just asking for the gift, which is what you're doing, and that's a good practice to have, but whoever is supporting you with that gift is going to have their own vested interest and personal interest in helping you to be successful. So let's say you ask, maybe if within your community you have a local business that you have a relationship with, or maybe you have a bank that's nearby and likes to support the library's work. That would be a great kind of ask to make, because not only are you asking them to make a matching gift, but the next natural thing is to say, oh, and by the way, will you help us promote this? Will you help us share that this is happening in the community? And so it's just a natural extension if you go down that path.
That's a wonderful tip. And I think an important thing to think is we're focusing on the 2020 Library Giving Day right now, but it's going to increase every single year. If people remember back to 2011 when Giving Tuesday came out, it was very kind of a small thing and not necessarily known. But as the years have gone on, the general public really does know and embrace Giving Tuesday. And I think that is something that we can see with Library Giving Day. Other free resources that you can find. So these are posters that you can put up in your library. This is one that was up in the Seattle Public Library last year, but these are there for you. You can see that they have spaces for you to put your own library's logos and names and things like that. So they're free for you to use. So let's go into some 2019 testimonials and examples. So we got quite a bit of feedback, but I have put 4 testimonials here on this page. You can see that one organization, the Gwinnett County Public Library, had 40 new online donors, and that was very successful to them. You can see that another one, Charlotte Mecklenburg Library Foundation, had over $5,000 in donations. And then we had another one, Pierce County Library System and Foundation raised a record amount of funds in a one-day period. That was very, very meaningful. And Chicago Public Library Foundation had a goal of generating 200 new prospective donor leads through social media, which is fantastic. So they achieved that goal. So there were all kinds of different goals, and we were pleased to see them. I'm going to,
Christine, before you
go ahead, Jonna.
I just, a little more anecdotal stuff on that. The thing that I found most, it was just rewarding, is that we know that there are libraries who maybe had never even asked for a gift before. And they, entered cautiously. They dared to say, hey, Library Giving Day, will you support us? The amount of just by asking, I think there are so many libraries that had just this lovely success and went, wait a second, people love us, they want to support us, but we've not asked them before. And so much, if you're in that camp and you just feel like you've been hesitant to ask, this is a perfect way to ease into it and say, hey, there's this thing called Library Giving Day, we're going to participate, we would love to have you be part of it and support your library. And so don't be intimidated if you haven't done it before, because you do have love in your community. It's there. There's no doubt about it. And so many of the participants shared those kinds of experiences.
Yes, yes. And if you are looking for more cases of success, just make sure to check out the Library Giving Day website. There's a ton of great information there.
Yep.
Very briefly, I just want to touch on the fundraising channels that were used. When we asked for results, we asked the different libraries that participated to send the different channels that they used, and you can see social media and email were so big. But you know, Jonna and I were talking about this earlier, and it's just really important for you to use the tools that you have for your own market. You know, what's appropriate for you, and you may not have experimented with big social media campaigns in the past, and that's fine. A couple of posts are okay, but whatever is appropriate for you is really successful. You should be proud of yourself for being able to do whatever you can. Jonna, what do you think about that?
Well, and I think what I found really interesting is just the wide variety of things that libraries chose to do, libraries, foundations, friends, you know, all the way from, you know, working with their volunteers and wearing buttons and you name it. A lot of those things that a lot of libraries tried, it probably is part of their culture, and that's like a natural extension of what they do or a natural extension of what staff does. Think about it in two ways. Think about it, there are things that are more passive. If libraries are, or if supporters are in your branch and they're going to see the signage and they're doing that kind of thing, that's an important component. Equally, and probably really more important when it comes to driving donations, are those more proactive things that you're doing to reach out. So whether you're using an email list that you have, or you have built a social media following, those are just, it's really important to harness those channels and go beyond maybe just what is around awareness and things that are happening in the library, and you're promoting programming that might be happening, to building in Library Giving Day, and this is happening and we want you to join us and be supporters. So there are, you know, think about it from both sides. You've got the passive stuff and you've got the proactive stuff, and you need both to help build a campaign.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jonna. We want to show you just a few more examples. These are different libraries and foundations that made adjustments to their own website and incorporated the elements from librarygivingday.org into their own site. So you can see the logo is there. You can download different versions of the logo, absolutely free for you to use, and we hope you do incorporate them into your donation forms, your homepage. You could put them in various graphics, both on the homepage and landing pages. You can build a page to talk about what Library Giving Day is and what you're going to do with any funds that you raise. You can incorporate the materials that we've provided in so many different ways, and I think we look forward to seeing how you do it. Pop-up light boxes, that kind of thing. So the more ways that you can use the resources we have provided, that's really great. And so here are 3 examples of Spokane, Broward, and Santa Clara incorporating the Library Giving Day logo.
And I'll just add on this one too, because we're talking, these are actually gift forms. Sometimes they're the library site promoting it as well. We've heard from some folks that they've run into a barrier to be able to participate because they're not set up for online giving. And so we're trying to get a sense of that and see if there's a way to find resource that would help somebody out. So if you're looking for help, just add that to the chat so that we know that you're looking for resources and have ideas on how you can get there. And I think that's true for anything else that we're talking about. If we haven't touched on it, or if we've just briefly touched on it, do add it to the chat stuff so we are aware and can help solve the problem.
That's a great point. And I want to say with the chat, you know, if you're a small library and there's something that seems insurmountable, chat it to us and we'll answer your question right now. But if you're a large library at the moment and you're looking for something very exciting to do or other ideas, let us know. We know we're talking to a broad audience out there. We want to hear what your challenges are, and we want to be able to provide solutions to you. So feel free to write to us right now and we'll answer your questions. Jonna, can you let us in on this Penguin Random House example?
Yeah. So one of the things that we're trying to figure out, and this is as much a call to all of you and the collective brain power that's out there, is that, with the official Library Giving Day blessed by ALA, their reach is really primarily to library and library people. We're really ultimately wanting to figure out how can we increase awareness for Library Giving Day in a much broader way, just like Giving Tuesday, as Christina mentioned. So Penguin Random House, their library marketing, they've just been so supportive to us all and what we're trying to accomplish. And so I thought this was a fun example where they wanted to help raise awareness for Library Giving Day, and across their network, they shared out about it and pointed people to the tools so you could see if a library was participating or not. I just use this as an example. This is a huge opportunity for us to ultimately better figure this out. And as we talk about having you share results and all of that, it really is to give us ammunition to look for and possibly find, say, a national sponsor who might take on Library Giving Day as something that they want to do to help promote across the country. So this is aspirational, there's no doubt about it, but we do have an opportunity to help increase awareness and build awareness of this over time. And I know there are people out there on this call who have ideas and thoughts on how we can do that. And so I'm just kind of putting it out there to the group to be noodling on and thinking about, because we have room to grow and improve in this area.
And actually, we have another really good example of, and I think we're getting a lot of questions right now about different ideas. I think this will be helpful.
So, okay, first off, I really, again, cannot say enough about King County Library System Foundation. Their previous ED has now left, her name was Beth Castleberry, great team. And they really were all in with this right from the get-go. And King County is a neighboring county to Seattle Public Library. We're very different in terms of their accounting system. We're an urban system. They have many more branches and spread over miles and miles, and ours is concentrated. And as neighbors, we share, we just share. We share patrons and we share practices. And as this idea was coming together, I reached out to Beth to see, one, I had great appreciation for her as a professional in development, and I had had the opportunity to work with her before, and just said, what do you think, Beth? Is this something would be a benefit to you? Do you think you could leverage it? And Beth was very much looking for a way to expand their donor base beyond what they had, and looking for ways to really leverage digital and tie their library in. And so Beth shared this information as a case, because they really were going into it in many ways kind of from scratch, so to speak. So timeline wise, one of the first things that she did is she met with her peers on the leadership team of the King County Library System, and really shared this idea and this concept, and started to get a sense of concerns, where her support would be, willingness to participate, and enthusiasm. And pretty quickly, I think she found that there was enthusiasm and support, and her library staff peers could see the value of that. So they started their planning, and by October, that's when they reached out across to their branch and different managers and briefed them on this concept of Library Giving Day, that it was new, that they were part of the pilot to try this out. And then by December, they were actually working with the King County Library marketing folks, both the web and social managers, so that they're starting to build a plan together and understand what was going to be in the plan and what the foundation would be leading on. They also put together a branch component, so that as I mentioned before, thinking about, how can you proactively reach people, and how do you reinforce that when people come into, say, your library location. So they had an effort to engage and decorate and have something on display that represented the Library Giving Day. And then Library Giving Day came, and then what they also then did in May after Library Giving Day, they circled back to those branch managers and staff, and they were able to put up a display to actually show the results and give a thank you to the people who had supported it, and brought coffee and donuts for library staff who had been supportive of it. So that creating that, we can raise the money, but we have to also now think about all these donors and thanking people, and that is all just part of creating this culture of philanthropy, and it's a collective culture of philanthropy to be built. One of the other things I want to share that King County did as part of their pilot into this is, again, that whole idea of having a matching pool. Whether they didn't have access to an individual who could give, a major gift or not, what they chose to do is in February, leading up to Library Giving Day, they reached out to their mid-sized donors. So folks that had given them either $250 up to $1,000, and pretty much asked them to help them build a matching pool. And so they got 46 donors who gave, it looks like an average of just under $400. So they had a $19,000 matching pool going into Library Giving Day. And then they really utilized their email blasts and promoted Library Giving Day through their site, promoted the match, and then ultimately they were able to take that match and leverage it into $44,500. They ended up with 255 donors, of which 52 were brand new. Their average gift was much higher than what they typically see. So it jumped from what's usually a little less than $100 up to $170. And also their new donors' gift size was much larger. And I think that trend is pretty consistent when it comes to digital campaigns, where you will tend to see digital campaigns average gifts are higher than what you would normally see through a traditional direct mail kind of approach. Now, what's also interesting is what they did on the social media side. And if you could go to the next slide, Christina, that would be fantastic. So King County is home to where the Seahawks live and practice. And it happened to be that Russell Wilson and his wife, Sierra, both who have these massive, massive followings on Twitter, were able to start to tie in some things that the library was doing to create awareness. And so you'll have, they were tweeting about Melinda Gates from Russell Wilson, and the library is all in the center of this. So there were things that they were trying to do and leverage to increase just visibility and awareness of what their library was doing at the same time. And then they had their own hashtag set up. You'll see the Give to KCLS, and that's a hashtag I believe they use ongoing. And then they were encouraging folks to, use that hashtag, and then winners were actually, as an incentive, if you were using that hashtag, then they invited a couple winners to their Literary Lions Gala. So again, it's just examples of things that they were doing. They were having their gala. They were also trying to build a lot of social awareness or social media awareness, and trying to pull all of those things together so that they were leveraging and layering one over the top. And, quite clearly, this was a different way for King County to be working. And, I can't wait to see what they end up doing this year, because they were all in and a good partner in helping get this off the ground.
And Jonna, before we go on, I kind of want to ask the audience if you would write to us, and what are your thoughts on matching gifts? Do you feel intimidated by them, or do you feel that they're, are they something that you use frequently? If you have any questions about matching gifts, let us know, because I think everything you just said highlights that they're such an important component, and it's good to see that King County got kind of creative with how they got that match. And I'm really glad you gave that example, because sometimes it can seem very daunting, but that was a really good kind of grassroots way to dig in and get a matching gift. So if anybody has any ideas, feel free to chat them.
And just one thought on that too. If there is somebody in your world who is a supporter, or is philanthropic but maybe hasn't given a gift to you but loves your library and so on, if you're looking for an angle on this, one of the things you could do is to say, hey, this Library Giving Day exists. I've been watching to see what others have been doing with it, and I think this could be something that we could really leverage. Others who have done really well with it have had a matching gift. Would you consider providing a challenge match, and every gift that we receive, or every $2 for, match 2 for 1, or whatever the way you want to position it, but leverage the rest of our experience as a way to build a case for why somebody should be compelled to, or at least consider supporting your efforts.
Yes, yes. And while we are on the topic, I just want to read a couple of the things that people are writing to us right now. Some groups are saying that they use them and they're very effective, and I would absolutely agree with that. And I know our creative director who's listening right now would absolutely agree with that. I think her middle name is Match Gift. And then let's see, we've got a couple of other people that say finding a match gift is difficult for them, but you can always go into the community and ask a business, or you could ask, another foundation or something along those lines. And really, and the group that said they don't have quite a lot of donors. Any amount works, even if it's $500. Starting at that level is completely fine if it's appropriate for your size. So you don't have to have a big number, and don't be intimidated by that. Let me see, what else are they saying? We use funding from our friends group that they've already promised us as our match gift. So that's really wonderful too. There are a couple of other people who have written in, and they say that it's a strategy they're going to try. So we're pleased to hear that.
Great. They work. They really do.
They do. Okay, so let's go on. Okay, this is really kind of our final thing before we go through a summary and answer some of your questions. So results. Important. The most important thing is that if you participate in Library Giving Day, we need your results. It's just so vital to everything that we're doing. It matters to the goal setting that we're doing for ourselves in the future. We want to know also what were your goals and how did you achieve them. I showed a slide earlier where $580,000 was the collective Library Giving Day goal for the participants, but then they raised over $700,000. We want to know that. And then how did you achieve your...
Oh, just to say, then that's only who bothered to fill out the survey. We know there was other money raised, so it's the survey's helpful, but it works.
It does, absolutely. We need your results. We're going to use the information for peer-to-peer sharing, just like you've seen in this presentation, because we can certainly learn from each other. And we want to know the collective impact of Library Giving Day. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm hoping that in 5-10 years, we look back and we see the same success and knowledge about Library Giving Day as we do with Giving Tuesday throughout our country. And then we need your results as proof to generate more support, whether it be from internal staff and stakeholders or partners and sponsors.
And can I just jump in to say in all of this, it comes back to that idea of around creating a culture of philanthropy in your library. And if you're a foundation or a friends group associated with the library, if there's a way to take and leverage this to do collective or work together to raise money, it's powerful. It really is powerful. And anybody who dealt with giving days in their community, or for us it was the start of what was Give Big. They create an opportunity for a lot of people in your sphere, both staff and board members, to get excited about doing something collectively. And it's very celebratory, but it also just really starts to create this idea that now this is what libraries are. Public investment is crucial and important and provides most of the funding, but it's that little bit of marginal investment from private support and philanthropy that can allow your libraries to do things they just wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And it's building on that and creating that, and this is a tool that will help you do that.
Such a good point. That's a very good point, Jonna. Thank you. And so with that, we want to say if you are going to participate in Library Giving Day, please be on the lookout for our post-Library Giving Day request result request in the form of a survey. So you'll tell us, you'll answer some questions, you can submit data, and then we'll take a couple weeks. We'll analyze everything. We will give you a deadline. Shortly, we'll probably put that out there, but know that we will come to you. If you participate, we will come to you and we will ask you for results. And so it's so vital. And so with the time that we have left, let me give you the key takeaways and then we'll answer some questions. So remember, Library Giving Day is absolutely for libraries of all sizes. And to ensure success, if you want to start planning today, I would say please go right now and download the toolkit and start to have an internal kickoff and conversations. Gather your key internal stakeholders and ask them to participate and advocate about Library Giving Day. And I'll pause there. Any final thoughts on just the planning process, Jonna?
The one thing on planning, Christina, if libraries have not yet signed up and put their name on the library giving map, they need to do that so you have the contact info and can communicate with them. And then is there anything they need to do special if somebody else from their organization might have signed up but are no longer there, and how to do updates?
We can certainly be contacted. You can contact me directly if you'd like help with that, Christina@carlbloom.com, or if you have questions about anything else, and I can work on that for you.
There you go. Great.
Good. And then the final two notes are just remember to build a bigger, stronger campaign each year. You may start small this year, but next year will be bigger and bigger, and share your results with us. So let's get to some of the questions. And I think I said in this presentation, leave your questions in the chat box, but everybody's asking questions in the question box and it's working very well. So we have some questions. Somebody says, is it more helpful to identify goals for the giving day, i.e. a special project or a list of uses for the funds, or just general giving? I think it's very good and effective to say, here are the things that we will do with your gift. You don't want to be too specific because that becomes a little restrictive, but you can say things like your gift of X amount allows us to do blank, or a gift of X amount allows us. So that might be $25 allows us to purchase blank, $35 allows us to do this. So you don't want to say that the money is directly going to go to those things, but if people do like to quantify and think about the things that they might be giving to exactly. Jonna, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think that what you say is correct for sure. And part of the opportunity that you have is once you've asked for the gift, you've got to be prepared to thank people for their gift, correct? So that's a no-brainer, but it's an important one. And thank quick and show your appreciation. But what will begin to happen is as you start to build a donor base, you will want to build ways then to report back. All right, we raised this money, look what we're able to do with it. Grab some pictures if you bought something with it, or something that helps really explain how you use the gift, and share that information back with the donor. They'll feel good about it, and you're starting to predispose them for when you ask the next time. So account for it. And I think if you have a special project or something that you're doing that you are actively trying to raise money for, yeah, I mean, you're already built a system to do that. Leverage this for that purpose. I don't think there's necessarily one better way than the other for your circumstance, but you really do want to give examples so that people can understand this money's just not going to go into the city. It's not just going to go into a black hole. No, it has a real purpose, and it's a purpose around enhancing what your library is able to do.
And I'm actually going to kind of go back into our presentation if everybody will allow me. And there's one page we have, this build your case for support. These actual facts are very important to use in your campaign, and I think they really resonate with people. People may not know that you assist with job application and interviewing skills, provide entrepreneurs with business information. They may think that libraries are just one specific thing, but they need to know that libraries are so much more to the community. So if you can quantify the things that you do, I think it's very important. And so let me read another question. So let's see, we've got a couple of people who are talking about local businesses or national sponsors being the match for the campaign. And I think that's really great. And I think if you do get a gift from a local business and it's beneficial to that business for their name to be featured in your fundraising materials, that's great. So I remember many years ago working with an organization who got a gift from Verizon, the Verizon Foundation in our community, and the language that they used in their emails was, Verizon has generously offered to match dollar for dollar up to X amount until, April 23rd. So if you are able to get some kind of national organization or local organization to do that, anything you can do to get your match is wonderful. Oh, somebody has a really fun idea that I love. They say that they have not used matching gifts and that it's something they want to try. But somebody says, that they had a local brewery that donated funds during the course of the week to Library Giving Day. So that's great.
Nice.
Whatever you can do.
It's a great idea.
It is. And then somebody else asked about this segmentation, the different types of donors that you would tell about Library Giving Day. I would say all donors. Absolutely. All donors, your board, the whole community.
And, sometimes, you can use Library Giving Day in different kinds of strategies. So for instance, if you normally have a spring ask, you can use this. It's going to amplify what you're doing and help you be successful your spring ask. Timing, maybe you may have a gala going and it just doesn't correspond quite right. Then maybe you think about Library Giving Day as something that you're going to do that's more external facing, trying to acquire and attract new donors. And so maybe you build your match so that it's really around for every new donor, so-and-so will match their gifts one-to-one, whatever it might be. So be thinking about what's your strategy and what are you actually trying to accomplish. What we've seen is that with a campaign like this, there are some donors who love this idea and the timing and will choose to give their annual gift, say in the spring, to be part of Library Giving Day, or Give Big in the past. Others see it as an opportunity, I'm going to make an additional gift. So we have not faced, there's a little bit of what they call cannibalization, or, where you're taking and kind of cutting into maybe giving at other times of the year. I see this as an opportunity to expand and ask for an additional gift. And I think it also helps take and spread the timing. If you typically are like any of us, you tend to see more of your giving come at the end of the year. This starts to create a way that you're generating revenue earlier in the year.
Yes. Yes.
And after the fact, it'll be really interesting to take the time to look at then, where did your gifts come from? Are they new donors? Did you get an additional gift from an existing donor? Did it bring somebody back in the fold? And those are really valuable insights so that you can start to understand the impact you can have with a campaign like this.
And I want to jump on the bandwagon. If you're the type of library that's only running a year-end campaign with direct mail and emails and that year-end letter, I wholeheartedly agree that you should turn Library Giving Day into your spring campaign. If you can send out a direct mail letter, do that. We've been very much touching on online giving, but if you can incorporate this into spring letter and a spring fundraising campaign, all the better. And John, I'm really glad you said that.
Just one more touch point. And plus, people like to feel part of this. As you're talking, your idea around the place where they have the pub locating or sharing proceeds, you may find somebody in the community wants to donate a party. So maybe it is at a local pub and you invite everybody to come be with library staff, and everyone who was a donor gets an opportunity to come to be thanked. I mean, there's lots of fun things you can do so that now you can actually meet those donors and start to have a conversation with them and get to know them and understand what prompted them to give, and bring them into the donor family.
Right, very true. Well, I know that we had a few other questions. A lot of them are very similar. So I think we've generally covered most of the questions, and anything else we'll make sure to put on the frequently asked. Oh, and someone says, is anybody, sorry to switch gears. Somebody says, is anybody partnering with their friends on this? And I'm sure that there are. Jonna, do you have any thoughts about the library partnering with their friends?
Yeah, so in our scenario, our friends raise money through the sale of things, through their book sale, as well as their shop. So they aren't actively fundraising, and through the relationship we have, that works really, really well. So a couple things have happened. Friends, sometimes they've done different things. They've been part of our challenge match, or they will make a major commitment on that day to help us earn the challenge match. But the one thing that they've consistently done is they've promoted Library Giving Day and shared that out through their channels, because our friends group does have a really strong social media standing, and then linking people back to the offer around the Library Giving Day on our giving page. So it is an example where that partnership, they help amplify the message and get word out, and then they participate as a donor. And that's a scenario. I know that that's a scenario that doesn't hold true everywhere. I think it would be important if you're in a market where you've got a friends group that's actively fundraising, and so are you. It might be worth talking just to coordinate and make sure you know what each other is doing. And then that's it's a whole different conversation about navigating through that for another day, for sure.
Yes. Okay, well, I want to say that we're pretty close to time, so we so appreciate you all joining us. Just those housekeeping things again. Any questions that we didn't get to answer today, we will add to the frequently asked questions section of the Library Giving Day website. I encourage you so much to go to that site right now. Actually, some of you probably are on it, so woohoo! We will post a recording
Christina,
of this. Go ahead, Jonna.
One last piece. By signing up for Library Giving Day and adding your name and your library on the site, what that also does is that puts you into the pool of people that we're communicating with, because some of you may or may not be familiar with our International Public Library Fundraising Conference. Do you want to mention that, Christina? Because we haven't started to open that up yet, but
yeah,
tie that in?
Thank you. I'd love to. So this year we will be in Austin, Texas. If you haven't joined us before, please Google or go to the International Public Library Fundraising Conference website. I know that's quite a mouthful. It is a fundraising conference exclusively for libraries. And what we hear year after year is the most valuable thing is that the libraries are able to network and learn from each other. If you've ever felt that you need a deeper understanding of how you can fundraise for yourself and advocate on your own behalf, I encourage you to look into attending the conference. It will be June 14th through 16th, and there should be a few hundred attendees this year. It will be our biggest one yet. Jonna and I will be there, and we look forward to seeing you.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. I'm
You're
excited.
welcome.
Thank you for everybody who took the time today to sign on and be part of this. And we'll do another one again next week to cover off with others that can't be on this call today. But just truly thank you for being part of it. And this is about the greater good and the benefit for all of us. And your learning will help all of us too. So thank you for that.
If you have any questions at all, either visit the site or feel free, you can email me directly, Christina@carlbloom.com, and we're happy to help. Thank you so much.